All right. So you went from there to coaching.
No, I continued running a few more years. I tried to make that next Olympic game in 2004. Had a couple of health issues, trying to get back from injury, and just I fell just short. So I decided from then I was going to put it up. And I was training at the time at Sacramento State University, and they asked me like, "Hey, you're out here. Would you mind helping our track athletes?" And I really thought I was going to go into a real estate mode, and
Wow.
I really considered going in that direction. But I started coaching and helping them while I was still training, and I loved it. Like, it was a natural progression for me. My first job as a teenager when I was 15 years old, I was a gymnastics coach. So coaching became very natural to me, and I loved it. I loved the result, and it just kind of took off from there.
And that's when you started coaching. And did you start with UNLV?
I did not. Started at Sacramento State. I volunteered while I was training there because I was using their facility. So I thought I should give back and share some of my expertise with their athletes, and then eventually got a paid position there. Then I got recruited over to Long Beach State to be an assistant coach over there, and broke some records there and did some great things.
Good for you.
Yeah, and there I coached men and women. And so that was an exciting time. And when I got the opportunity to run my own program, I took it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So do you coach both men and women at UNLV?
No, I coach. It was only women's team at UNLV. Yeah, so that was a change because I like coaching both, and I like to have an effect on both genders.
Yeah.
But it was a women's team.
What is it, or what was the experience like? And I think it's becoming, more and more common to see women coaching in men's sports, which I think is fantastic. What was that experience like for you? Because that was probably different, if I had to guess. At the time, it wasn't as common as you're starting to see it now.
Right. Yeah, it was different. And, I had a lot of guy athletes come to me, and they were used to the aggressive, male coach that's coming in and yelling at them. And I said, well, that's not my style, but just listen to what I'm going to do, listen to what I'm saying, and you're going to get the results. And they did. They ran faster. They won championships with NCAA All-Americans. So they understood that there's different styles of coaching. And whether you're female or male, as long as you're making that connection, that's what's important.
That's awesome. That's
so,
awesome.
Yvonne, so you're accomplished UNLV coach. You're an accomplished athlete. You've empowered so many women that were young women that were on your team and coaching them. What do you think is the biggest piece of advice? Because you can objectively say that you have a triple minority almost, being a female, Black, Japanese. So you have layers of hurdles, no pun intended. That you face daily throughout every interaction, business or sports related.
Right.
So what would your advice be to these young ladies?
To not make excuses. I think we come up with a lot of reasons why we can't do something or we won't do something. And everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own backgrounds. Everybody wakes up in the morning with their own dilemmas and things they have to overcome. But don't make excuses. Always find a way to get it done. And that would be my number one advice to them.
Okay, so I get it. And especially today, maybe because there's more cameras out there catching a lot more acts of racism. And I know this is a very touchy subject. I'm going to try not to get too political here on you. But, people are filming a lot more discrimination, a lot more racism, a lot more inequalities. Yeah. Do you feel, and maybe you'd be the perfect person to ask, as an Arab American, I have my own position on this as a Muslim also. Do you feel that it's getting worse? Is it the same, or is it non-prevalent?
I think it's the same. It's just more exposed.
Sure.
It's always been there. We've always, I went to the University of Colorado, and at that time, it was 1% African Americans on the campus.
Sure.
And pretty much all athletes, Yeah. And so I knew what that felt like. So it was always there. We didn't have, and that tells my age, but we didn't have Instagram. We didn't have all that stuff to share what, the ugliness of that side of things,
Well said. Yeah.
So it was always there. I think as a Black female, married to a Black male and having two Black male children, there's always, anxiety in that space. But I don't make that an excuse. I encourage my kids and my athletes to live your best life, and people will see who you are, despite what they already assumed. Change their mind.
It's crazy. That's such a fantastic, I think, perspective and coaching advice. And then you compare it to, we were having the similar conversation with your husband, Larry, the other night over dinner, and he's from, rural Texas. And he had said he didn't even realize, the extent of the racism that he grew up in until he left. Right. And then looking back on it, you know, so I think that's spot on. I think it's always been there. It's just, you see it more now because there's more technology and the world's so connected.